Governor Pat is an Austin native that has lived in Denton since 1981. After receiving a scholarship from the Rotary Club of Austin, she earned a Bachelor's of Music degree from Southwestern University. Pat also holds a master's degree in English literature and library science, both from University of North Texas. She has a 25-year-plus career in public libraries. Pat is a member of the Rotary Club of Decatur, which she joined in 2013 and became president in 2015, 2 years later. Moving right along at the district level, she became a RILA counselor, district literacy coordinator, assistant governor, charter member of visioning planning team, district secretary, and a Lone Star Pets facilitator. Pat is a Paul Harris Society member and a Rotary Leadership Institute facilitator. Pat's husband, Jeff, Matt stood up, is a very talented musician, retired IT guy, and also a member of Decatur Rotary. They have 2 adult children and are members of the First United Methodist Church, where they also sing in the choir. If you stand next to them when you're singing, you'll know why they sing in the choir. Beautiful voices. Rotarians, please welcome my friend and our district governor, Pat Peters.
Thank you very much. Is that good? It is so good to be here with you all. I've been here multiple times for one occasion or another, or just to visit. It is such a pleasure to get to be here to sing with you all. Thank you so much, Pastor Dr. Don. The Happy Wanderer is one of those songs I learned when I was in elementary school in music, and don't ever get to sing it. So thank you so much for letting me get to do that. As Susie mentioned, I received a scholarship from the Austin Downtown Rotary Club when I was a high school senior to go to college, and it was such an interesting thing because they invited all of the scholarship recipients to come to one of their meetings. They gave scholarships to 2 students from each of the high schools in the district, and so there were 12 of us there. We had each brought a faculty member along. And the 4 of us women from my school walked into the downtown Austin Rotary Club in the mid-1970s. And of course, the Rotarians were all the men in suits. Now, I have nothing against men in suits, but it was a little intimidating, I will tell you. I was very grateful for that scholarship, but looking around that room, I thought, well, thank you for the money, but obviously Rotary is not part of my future. So it took a long time. Several years. Our daughter participated in the 4-way deaf speech competition when she was in high school, but that little brush was not the thing that got me into Rotary. What got me here was I became the director of the Decatur Public Library. Now, Decatur is in Wise County, the county over from where Jeff and I live in Denton. It's a rural area. I didn't know very much about the area. So as I started that job, I was thinking, how am I going to get to know these people and what's important to them and how I can best serve them through the public library? Just so happened that one of my Library Foundation board members was married to a Rotarian, and he invited me to Decatur Club. And the first program that I went to was Lanny Noble. Some of you know Lanny. He had just come back from his first RILA, and he was the program, and he was so excited about RILA, and what an amazing program it was, and how it impacts lives. So at the end of that program, I went up to him and I said, you know, that sounds like something I would really enjoy. I would love to be part of that. So if in the future you ever need counselors, please feel free to give me a call. And you know what happens when you say, if in the future. Yes, of course, they need more people. So the next spring, I got a call, and that's how I became a Rila counselor before I had even been a Rotarian for a year. So Susie's right. 2 years later, I was president of my club because we were a small club, and that's how it happens in small clubs. You know, you kind of get in the line. I was secretary, and I was supposed to be president a few years down the road. Well, then somebody got moved, their job relocated them, various things happened, and I became president. And all this time, I was attending district assembly, and I went to pets, and just got to know people from Rotary clubs around the district, finding out how different clubs do things differently, and just learning a little more about what Rotary means beyond my club. So eventually, after doing all those things related to the district and at the district level, I thought, you know, I think I have something to contribute as district governor. So I put my name in and did not get selected the first time, but I did get selected the second time. And the way this works is, as you all may know, district governors are selected about 2.5 years before they actually take office. And that's so that you can do training and learn what the job is really all about, because you have no idea when you apply. But then, so I knew that I was going to be district governor for this 23-24 Rotary year before Rotary International announced that Jennifer Jones would be the first woman president of Rotary during 22-23. Now, I was very excited for Jennifer, and I was very excited for Rotary, but I was just a little disappointed that wouldn't be my governor year, because that would have been so cool. But this last January, Jeff and I got to go to International Assembly. That is the final kind of intensive training that all the governors-elect from all over the world come to, and that's when the president-elect introduces their theme and their priorities for the coming year. So when Gordon McAnally announced that is that right? Am I in the right place? I can't see. Okay. Sorry. That's the right one, good. When Gordon McAnally announced that his theme was going to be create hope in the world, I thought, okay, that is exactly right. That speaks to me. That tells me, there it is. Got it. It's okay, it's fine, I'll look around. Anyway, to me that said, that's exactly what we are about as Rotarians. Gordon told a story about having been on a service project with a group of Rotarians to an area that had been devastated by flooding. And he talked about a woman had come up to the group and was talking to them and said that she had lost her home and everything in it during that flooding, and that she had lost her husband and her son. But what she said to this group of Rotarians was, thank you for coming, because you have given me back hope for the future. And that was such an impactful story that Gordon said that was it. He knew if he ever got to be president of Rotary, that was going to be his theme, create hope in the world. And as he talked more about it, he talked about how with all of our 7 areas of focus, all of them are really about giving people hope. He talked about how if it's a clean water project, or building sustainable economies, or education and literacy, access to high quality health care, whatever it might be, it's all about that giving hope. And that one of our areas of focus, promoting peace, is really that one that all the others sort of feed into, sort of build up to. And he said, peace is the soil where hope takes root. So all that we can do to promote peace is really what we are called to do and be as Rotarians. So he encouraged us to take that peacemaking as one of our areas of focus for this year in our districts. So we've put together 3 kind of service projects for us. The first is this list of children's picture books These are all about peace. Some of them are about what peace looks like across the world. Some of them are more about what does it look like for me as a child to be a peacemaker in my community or in my school or even in my family at home. So one of the things I'm encouraging clubs to do is to consider purchasing these books and placing them in your local public library branches, to put them in your local elementary schools. All of them are positive peace reinforcers. And so in all of the ways that we can look forward to the next generation being peacemakers, I think everything we can do can support that. So I encourage you to look at that. This list is on the district website. If you'll go to Rotary5790.org, click on district, and then you'll see service projects there, and you'll find this list. Another possibility is less a group project than an individual project. This is the Positive Peace Academy certification, a program put together by the Institute for Economics and Peace, which is a think tank that sort of looks at the pillars that they have identified that support positive peace in an area. And it teaches us about those. It gives us a little bit of history of peacemaking efforts in the modern world, and then tells us how we can be advocates for peace and how we can be peacemakers in our communities, as well as at the level where we advocate for change across countries, across the globe. This is an online program. It's about 2 hours total. If you'll go to positivepeace.academy/Rotary, don't forget the /Rotary or they will ask you for money. But Rotary International is collaborating with the IEP to make this free for Rotarians. You don't have to sit for 2 hours at a time. You just set up your account, and then you can do as much or as little, and then come back and pick up where you left off. So I encourage you to do that certification, just so that we know where we are and what we can do, what steps we can take to make peace in the world. And then third, I want to encourage you, I know you all are already working on placing a peace pole at, was it Meadowbrook Park? In commemoration of that park's centennial. But anywhere you can think of, that would be a place where we could just take a little space for peace. And I know there are some clubs that are doing something similar to what you are, working in public spaces, parks, library spaces, city or county government buildings. Others are working with their school districts to plant peace gardens and peace poles on campuses. And another thing to think about is if there has been a scene of violence or tragedy in the community, planting a peace pole and peace garden in that space is a way to say we're not going to allow violence or tragedy to have the last word. We're going to reclaim that space for the community. So I encourage you to take a look at that. If you want to learn more about that, Jean Davenport, who's a member of the Denton Lake Cities Club, would love to come give you a program about that, or I'm happy to pass along some information from some other clubs that are working on that project. As Gordon talked more about his priorities for the coming year, he talked about mental health. And he told the story of his best friend growing up, who was just a few years younger than he. He talked about how life seemed good. They grew up together, did everything together. Eventually, they both went off to college. They built their careers, had families, and it seemed like life was very positive. But then at age 53, his friend took his own life. And Gordon said it was a complete shock because we don't talk about our mental health, so no one knew what this man was going through. No one knew what he was suffering. And then Gordon revealed that this was his younger brother who had taken his own life. And that was the moment that I knew this was exactly the right time for me to be district governor. My sister took her own life at age 42, and it was a very similar situation to what Gordon described. We didn't know because we don't talk about our mental health There's that shame associated with not being able to just figure things out. There's so much stigma around talking about things that we just don't have a handle on. So, you know how we say, "How are you?" And the response is, "I'm fine. How are you?" And you say, "I'm fine," and everybody's all good, and we go about our business. But the reality is, behind that "I'm fine," there is so much going on for all of us. Sometimes we just need somebody who will say, "How are you really? I have some time. I'm ready to listen." And we need someone to talk to. But sometimes we really need professional help and support. So there's a few things that we're doing. One is that we're offering, beginning next week, a 2-evening online course called Mental Health First Aid. Now, mental health first aid is not about taking the place of mental health professionals. It's about giving the rest of us some tools to start those difficult conversations with the people in our lives, to invite them to open up and tell us what's really going on in their lives. It's about knowing how to be good and active listeners and keep them talking. And then it's also about giving us some tools to know how to get them the kind of professional help and support that they really need if they are in crisis. You are still, I think, registration is still available for this course. The cost is $27.95, and that is the book that goes along with this course and shipping. It is being offered by Dr. Kella Price, who's the president of the Aledo Rotary Club, and she is a certified trainer of mental health first aid. We are also putting together a page to go on the district website that will have other online resources that you can go to. It will include things like mental health first aid for teens, about working with veterans and mental health, seniors and mental health, people going through grief and their mental health. So there will be resources for lots of different groups and different people who may be in your sphere. I encourage you to be part of that effort and to take the time to let the people in your life know that you want to know how they are really, and you have time, and you will take the time to listen. One of the things that we know is that our young people have things coming at them from every direction. The kind of stress factors that our teens and our young adults are dealing with are things that many of us probably never even considered. And we are working to address those things through Rotary Youth Services. With Rotary Youth Exchange, of course, we offer for every exchange student, when they get to their location of exchange, they have a counselor who is part of the Rotary Club where they're serving their exchange, that they can contact 24/7. They can reach out to that person with any question, any concern they may have, but that person also checks in with them regularly, just to say, "How are you really? What's going on? Is there any way I can be of help to you?" And that person has the resources to be able to respond and to give that student the kind of help they need. With Interact, I'm encouraging clubs that have Interact groups to include mental health programming in what you do with those Interact kids. We want them to be able to address the things that they're seeing going on around them. When someone in their peer group, when they see changes in behavior, or when they see those things that could be red flags, we want them to be able and willing to reach out and say, "I noticed this is going on. Tell me what's happening. Is there anything I can do for you?" and know what to do. We can offer these students classes like mindfulness, where they can improve their own positive mental health and be role models. We know that our students in Interact and in RILA are those campus leaders, and they're going to be the students that many others look to for how are we going to behave, how are we going to deal with those stress factors that are in part of our lives. Ryla is the thing I know the most about because I've been involved for several years. And this summer we added a mental health component to our curriculum. Now I would be the first to tell you it was not the best it could possibly be, and we have some work to do to make it better. But we didn't want to let one more summer go by without giving these young leaders some of those tools, because we know they are going to go back to their school campuses, to their Interact clubs, to their church youth groups, their sports teams, and they are going to be the leaders who can make a difference. And we want them to do that. I want to tell you a quick story about one of our RILA students. Back in 2015, my second RILA, we had a young man sponsored by the Western Fort Worth Club out of Arlington Heights High School, David Dominguez. And David was identified by his high school counselor as a potential leader who could come to RILA and benefit from it. So she said to David, I'm sending you to this leadership camp. It won't cost you anything. The Rotarians are paying for it. They will drive you, and they will bring you back home when it's over. You need to be ready at this time, at this place, on this day. And that's all he knew. And, you know, it's a little intimidating going to a leadership camp. You don't really know what you're getting into. He was really afraid that he was going to be sitting in lectures from like 7 to midnight every day with somebody pounding leadership in all capital letters into his head. But RILA's not like that. RILA is definitely not like that. It is very much hands-on. It's about team building. It's about being the kind of leader who isn't the loudest voice in the room, may not be the smartest person in the room. It's about the kind of leader who draws out the strengths and skills and passions of the other people in their group. And so David came a little leery, but he soaked it up like a sponge, and it was truly a life-changing experience for him. He went back to school that fall as a senior and joined his Interact club. When he graduated the next summer, he was invited back to RILA as a Rilarian counselor, and that is just a former camper counselor. He came, and those former camper counselors are paired with a Rotarian, and I had the privilege of being David's Rotarian counselor that summer. We are given charge of about 10 students in our family group, and David came committed to ensuring that those students in our family group would have the same kind of life-changing experience that he had had. And he did. He succeeded. He did really, really well at that. And we have seen some of those students come back to RILA as well. Well, that fall, when David started college, he went to Tarrant County College Trinity River campus downtown in Fort Worth and started a Rotaract club there. And when he finished his associate's degree there, went to UTSA and started a Rotaract club there. And when he graduated, got a job, he joined the Alamo Ranch Rotary Club in San Antonio. But the best part of his whole story for us is that every summer he keeps coming back to District 5790 to be part of RILA because it changed his life. He spent the first few years as a Rilarian counselor, then as a Rotarian counselor, and the last 3 years, David has been part of the RILA staff, influencing the curriculum, leading some of the activities, and right now he's actually kind of leading the charge to help us find our new location for RILA, where we want to hold that in the future. So Rotary Youth Services changes lives. It bears fruit. So thank you for all that you do related to youth services. It really does make a difference. One other initiative that President Gordon included, and this is continuing from the past 2 years, is empowering girls and women. And I know that you all have been aware of some projects globally that our district has been involved in to make sure that girls have the opportunity to go to school, to try to end that practice of child marriages, to help ensure that women who are trying to rear their families know that they have a strong social area, social stability in their area, that there is an economy that will allow them to thrive and succeed as they help their children grow. And I want to encourage you to consider what kinds of projects you could be involved in related to empowering girls and women. And they don't have to be just somewhere else across the globe. Think about what you can do here in the community, and these may be things you're already working on, but supporting girls in STEM education, supporting domestic violence shelters, building a stable economy. All of those things are things that empower girls and women. So again, thank you for what you're doing related to that. Several years ago, I think it was about 7 years ago, Rotary introduced our action plan, and this is when they gave us this vision statement. Together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. And they gave us 4 strategic priorities to help us think about how to do this. The first of these is increase our impact, and I think one of the ways we can do this is to think about what we do, what kind of service projects we're involved in. Think about things that you've been doing for a while. Are those projects still meeting the need? Has that need changed in some way? So the project needs to change in any way. Are there needs in the community that no one is addressing, that this Rotary Club would be the perfect vehicle for taking care of it? Expand our reach. That's a way that I know you all are doing tremendous work in this area. This is a way to think about who's not in Rotary that could be. How are we going to tell them the Rotary story and get them to be part of us? Give them an opportunity to serve. Give them a way to be more effective in the service they already do. Think about how bringing in people with new strengths and skills, new passions, can make a difference in what we're able to achieve. Enhanced participant engagement, I think this is also something you all do really well already, but just making sure that everyone who joins this club finds a place to belong, a place to plug in, a place where they know, this is my Rotary family, and these people believe, just as I do, that service to community is at the heart of who we are as human beings. And then finally, increase our ability to adapt. You know, since the pandemic, we've all had to adapt. Even when we came back to what was supposed to be normal, nothing looks the same. So again, thinking about who's joining the club, bringing new ways of thinking about the world, new backgrounds or perspectives, as we try to solve the problems or the obstacles that come in the way of accomplishing what we want to do. The Rotary Foundation, of course, is our charitable giving arm of Rotary, and you all do a great job of spending those grant funds that come back through your annual fund share giving. Half of that money comes back in 3 years to spend as grant money. But I want to tell you a little bit about what happens to the rest of that money. So one of the big things that Rotary just started about 3 years ago was the programs of scale. And these are large-scale projects that have the Rotary Foundation and at least 2 other major partners, each of whom give 3 to 5 years and $2 million each. Now, the first of these programs of scale was Malaria-Free Zambia. That map up there, I'm not very good with African geography, so it reminds me where Zambia is. It has now been going for about 3 years and has been so successful that the Rotary Foundation, World Vision, and the Gates Foundation, who are the 3 major partners, have now committed another 3 to 5 years, $10 million each, and they have expanded the program to 3 more countries. We are making a difference. Even though we're here, this is halfway around the world, we're not involved directly in this project, but this is what the Rotary Foundation does on our behalf. So thank you for all the ways that you give to the Rotary Foundation. A way that we can earmark money through the foundation is through our disaster aid support. And of course, over the last 1.5 years or so, one of the things that we've done is support humanitarian aid to Ukraine. We also responded to the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. We just had a call a week or 2 ago asking us to give through disaster aid funds to support Morocco after earthquakes there. And I'm expecting we're going to hear any time now a call to support Libya after that flooding that we've seen there. Lahaina, I think, is doing well with just district-to-district support. Barry reminded us at our board meeting earlier that that's not over. They still need our support, but I think that the Rotary Foundation disaster aid is going to go other places, and that we'll be able to support directly to that district that serves Lahaina. I put the Disaster Aid USA logo up there to remind me to let you know that we now have a disaster response team operating out of District 5790. I don't know if Bruce has been here. Excellent. I thought he had been here. Okay, he is ready, and we are working with the other districts in Texas so that if there is a disaster in Texas, the call will go out. Here's what we're being asked to do. Here's where we're being asked to go. Who can help? And I'm so excited that we are part of that effort. So thank you for what you've committed to being part of that. And thank you to those who have volunteered and said, I'll be part of that response team. Of course, polio is something we are still working on. The latest figures I had are that there have been 7 cases of wild polio virus this year in that area on the mountainous part of northern Afghanistan-Pakistan border. We have been able over the last several months to get vaccination teams in there. It's difficult geographically, it's difficult because of what's going on politically there, but we have been able to get some teams there. We're also still working diligently across the continent of Africa, where we still are seeing vaccine-derived cases, but there is good news on that front as well. The Rotary Foundation has committed another $50 million this year and again next to support our polio eradication efforts across the world. Those are being matched, as they have been, 2-to-1 by the Gates Foundation. So another $300 million going to that effort, and we are part of it. So thank you for what you do to support polio eradication. And I'm excited to be a Rotarian when I hear about projects like that, aren't you? That's the information I have to share with you. I want to tell you just about a couple of things that are going on. The Rotary Leadership Institute, I know several members here have already either been through the entire program and are now certified facilitators, or have been through part of that program. And it is a wonderful way to learn more about Rotary across the spectrum, kind of the big umbrella picture of what Rotary can do, can be, and is involved in, and how we can be part of that. Particularly good for folks who might be interested in district leadership in the future, or club leadership, but you don't have to be wanting to do that. You just need to want to know more about Rotary, and you are welcome at RLI. There is one this Saturday, but it's too late to register for that one right now. But coming up November 4th, we will be offering parts 1, 2, and 3 at the same location. I'm not sure if that will still be at Rivercrest or if we're going to move it somewhere else, but I believe registration is available for November 4th. Hope you'll be part of that. Our Foundation Gala is coming up on November 11th. Yes, I know that's Veterans Day. It was the only day we could make all the moving parts work. But it will be at Texas Women's University in Denton. We have Barry Rassin coming, who is a past RI president and currently the chair of the Board of Trustees for the Rotary Foundation. And I have asked him to bring us stories of impact, stories of what Rotary Foundation is doing on our behalf around the world. I believe registration is available for that. You should have gotten something yesterday, I think, with a link to register for that. Tickets are available, tables of 8 are available. We'd love to have you, 4 or 5 tables from the Arlington Rotary Club. That would be super. We'd love to see you. Okay, Vera. Where's Vera? Oh, right back there. I didn't look far enough around. Vera, February 29th through March 3rd, and your nominee behind you, make sure those are on the calendar for everybody. President-elect training. And then next spring, District Governor-elect Andy Eads and I are putting together 2 what have usually been separate Rotary events. One is the District Assembly, which is training for those incoming leaders who will take office July 1st. And the other is our district conference, which is the celebration of all we've accomplished during this Rotary year. We're putting those two together in a 2-day event, April 26th and 27th in Denton. We'd love to see you. Registration is not open for that yet, but please put that on your calendar. One of the things we will have available there is an opportunity for clubs to share a particularly unique or impactful project you've been involved in this year with other clubs. So be thinking as you serve this year about what you can share. Okay, if you like to travel and you like to meet other Rotarians and you just want something unique, the next international convention will be in Singapore the end of next May. Registration is open. It's $500 per person. No, that does not include your airfare and your hotel. I wish it did. That would be really great. But International Convention truly is a unique opportunity. So I encourage you to consider that. We currently, I think, have 13 Rotarians from across our district registered for it. We'd love to have 50 Rotarians come from District 5790. So think about that. All right, I'm going to wrap up with this quote from Maya Angelou, and this is truly what I wish for you. I wish for you is that you continue to be who and how you are, to astonish a mean world with your acts of kindness. Thank you very much for all that you do for this community and around the world as Rotary.